If you don't got 100 million for me, don't even talk to me about it. And that's what I'm talking about. That's what I like to hear. Basically, let me translate, because we know Crawford don't like to do too much trash talk.
Where does Canelo go from here, Henry?
He needs to rematch. If I'm Canelo, I want to rematch Terence Crawford. He got schooled, bro. He got outboxed, dude, by Terence Crawford. And I know that he's itching to get that one back. The first time he fought Triple G, he came back the second time, and he legit beat Triple G.
Once in a lifetime fight. It doesn't need to be a rematch. I think Bud would do worse the next fight. He would put it on Canelo a little worse than that, because that style of fight, I don't think he beats someone like Terence Crawford. But if I'm Terence Crawford, of course I'll fight him again. But this time, I'm the A side. I think Terence Crawford is going to be more confident next time, knowing that I can punch with this guy. I can take his shot. I'm faster.
He fought Canelo Alvarez.
Yeah.
He didn't do what the last two did, just run. He threw at him. I'm going to call your bluff, bro. I'm going to fight you.
Hard as it sounds to believe, Terence Crawford has reportedly given the green light to a Canelo Alvarez rematch, but only if one jaw-dropping demand is met. A demand so massive it's already rattling promoters, splitting fans, and putting Turkey squarely in the hot seat. This isn't a minor sticking point either. It's a condition that could decide whether this fight lives or dies. After weeks of quiet talks, speculation behind the scenes, and reports circulating in Mexican media, a rematch that once seemed impossible is suddenly being discussed again. But Crawford has made it clear he's not walking back into that ring for anything close to a standard payday. The figure he's asking for is something most fighters won't touch over an entire career. Sources close to the situation, and a television report that quickly went viral, claimed Canelo has already informed his inner circle that facing Crawford again is his main goal for 2026. The motivation is simple. He wants payback. He wants to reclaim his titles. And most of all, he wants to wipe away what many consider the most damaging loss of his career. When word of that reached Crawford, his response was immediate and brutal in its simplicity. Pay me $100 million, or there's no rematch. Not 60, not 80, 100. Take it or leave it. That number wasn't whispered or leaked anonymously either. Crawford's trainer, Bernie, backed it up publicly. Crawford himself echoed it. Now the decision lands with Turkey, who must decide whether committing 9 figures to a second fight, one that many fans criticized as underwhelming the first time, is worth the risk.
Terence Crawford is Terence Crawford is demanding Turkey Al-Sheikh to give him $100 million in order for the Canelo rematch to go down. Now, there is a rematch clause going on between Canelo and Crawford. Obviously, everybody knows that. But if he's not going to get the $100 million, that I'm going to be honest with you, I think he truly deserves $100 million for everything that he has gone through in the sport of boxing. The $100 million, number one. But if he doesn't get it, all he has to do is just wait out the contract. There's terms in the contract. Now, in regards to terms, we don't know what the terms hold. I don't know if it's 6 months, a year, whatever the case may be. And if not, if they don't come up with an agreement to fight and Crawford doesn't get $100 million, if Canelo then decides not to fight him and decides to go somewhere else, then the contract is voided out. It's completely over and done with. And Crawford just can go about his business. But Crawford, stay on the $100 million. And on top of that, the fight should be in Omaha, Nebraska. I'm telling you, $100 million, and the fight should be in Omaha, Nebraska. Let me know in the comments what you think, yo.
This isn't posturing. It's not speculation. It's a hard line being drawn. Crawford has no reason to bluff here, especially when people seem to forget what already happened between them. Their first fight wasn't close. There was no debate, no controversial scorecards to argue over. Crawford controlled the tempo, beat Canelo to the punch, and consistently made boxing's biggest star look a step behind, slow to react and unsure how to adjust. And he didn't do it on home turf. He did it while moving up 2 weight classes. That victory capped off something no male fighter had ever accomplished in the 4-belt era, becoming undisputed across 3 different divisions. The result couldn't be clearer. Canelo came up short. Crawford proved he was a superior boxer. End of story.
What was his power like? Have you been hit by anybody that strong before?
I've been hit harder.
No, in a real fight, not a sparring.
In a real fight. Avanesian, I mean not Avanesian, but Mean Machine hit harder than Canelo to me. To be honest.
Terence. Congratulations.
From Crawford's point of view, there's no urgency for a second fight. He isn't chasing validation, and he isn't looking to settle unfinished business. What is already done put him in the record books, the legacy is secured. The statement was made the first time around.
Saw you before the fight, the Crawford-Canelo fight, and you had a Cavs hat on. This time you've got a GOAT hat on. Is that how you're feeling? I know it says Muhammad Ali, but is that how you're feeling about Bud's performance, about his whole career?
Yeah, I'm definitely feeling that way, man. GOAT, greatest of all time, man. You got to give it to him. You got to give it to him. You got to give it to his coaches, not just me, Saul Red, Bernie, Chet, nutritionists. You know, everybody played a part.
Canelo said he's way better than Mayweather. What do you think to that?
Who, Terence?
Yeah.
Oh, of course. Of course he is.
If Canelo is chasing a chance at redemption, Crawford is chasing a check that matches the moment. $100 million. No favors. No nostalgia pricing. No talk about legacy over money. Is asking to be paid what he feels his performance and status justify. And in an era where crossover fighters and influencers are landing massive purses, Crawford isn't pretending this is about humility. He sees the market, he sees the numbers, and is unapologetic about naming his price.
Double fake to your left. Double fake to your right. Double fake to your left. You. Step back, rhythm. Step back, rhythm. Rhythm, y'all.
Still got some abs.
Double fake, double fake. Double fake.
Becky Alaushik isn't just another promoter in the mix. Right now, he's arguably the most influential figure in the sport. He played a major role in breathing life back into the heavyweight scene, broke down promotional walls that once stalled big fights, and proved he can make matchups happen that used to feel unrealistic. He has the resources, he has the leverage, and just as important, he has the ambition to think bigger than traditional boxing politics. He also understands the scale of this moment. A Crawford-Canelo rematch wouldn't just sell tickets, it would dominate headlines worldwide.
This fight will not happen if we are not involved, as Gia, Riyadh season, Saudi Arabia. This is truth, because even with what the relationship with Netflix, and we are very happy about it, still this fight costs more and more.
Canelo is chasing payback. Mexican fans want to see the loss erased, and Crawford is looking for a payday large enough to walk away from the sport for good. If there's anyone in boxing capable of signing off on a 9-figure deal, it's Terence Crawford. But that's where the complication starts. People close to the negotiations say the first bout didn't create the kind of buzz that usually justifies a sequel at that level. It was praised for its intelligence and precision, but not its fireworks. Many fans were hoping for chaos. What they saw instead was a calculated, tactical battle, more strategy than spectacle, and that's the gamble.
It's a whole lot of confusion online about why you gave them belts back. People really think you got them belts and you were supposed to keep them and you gave them back.
Belts is like a trophy, you know, so of course after the fight we get the belts, we get to take pictures with the belts, but them his personal belts. I'm gonna get my own personal belts. Well, we gotta return the belts. So the respect that I have for him, just like I have for Spence, you know, just like I have for any other champ that I took their belts from, I personally wanted to give the belts back to Canelo. You know, that's a sign of respect. So, you know, I'm looking for him. I'm like, hey, you know, where Canelo at? They like, oh, he in the press conference. They didn't want to let me in at first because they thought that we was trying to, you know what I mean, be on bullshit or whatever the case may be. So I like, hey, man. I like, man, open the door, man. I'm trying to give him his belts back. Like, I can come by myself because, you know, I was with everybody and they was just like, all right, you know what I mean? We don't want y'all trying to come in here and bombard his press. I said, I wait, you know what I mean? Like, it's all respect, you know, and I just, you know, told him, thank you again, you know what I mean? This is like a sign of respect. I want to be the one to give you your belts back because, you know, you didn't have to fight me, and it's just, you know, a sign of respect.
That's one thing I've always respected about you, bro, is like, you know, you are a competitor, but when you win, you don't disrespect nobody. You don't try to, you know, drag nobody through the mud. Like the same thing with Spence, you know, all the talk that was had and all the stuff that was said, not just from him, but just fan bases. You could have easily did that, you know, and been like, I told y'all. And you did do that, but it wasn't in a disrespectful way. And you probably could have celebrated more and you didn't, bro. So I respect that about you. You know when to be a competitor and when to be a man and say,
Yeah.
you know, I've done enough.
Let's be honest, plenty of fans and experts don't see the point in running it back. From their perspective, the mystery is already gone. Crawford figured Canelo out, took everything that mattered, and walked away with the belts history was made the first time. For many, that was enough.
I believe they have a rematch clause. I'm not sure exactly. I mean, I'm sure there's some kind of wording because Canelo doesn't enter a fight without some kind of wording in terms of rematch clause. But he's just not going to beat Terence Crawford. It's the style's all wrong for him, the movement's all wrong for him. And that's what I said. You know, going into the fight, I really believed Crawford would win in the style that he did. And then just as it got a bit closer at the weigh-in, I was like, my heart was like, nah, Canelo's got this, you know. And but deep down, I kind of knew that it was all wrong for him. And to be honest with you, Canelo knew it was all wrong for him. You know, I had the conversation with Canelo Alvarez probably, I don't know, a year ago, about Terence Crawford, and he was like, "No, why would I fight Terence Crawford?" Like, you know, he hates that style. And when he fought Charlo, I remember him being really disappointed that Charlo just moved and moved and moved. And that's why he ended up fighting Munguia and Berlanga, because they're guys that wouldn't do that and they'd stand in front of him, and that suits him down to the ground. Anyone that's got movement like Skull, like Crawford, like, you know, he really struggles against. And when he was a bit younger and fresher, he could probably get away with it and cut it off, and, you know, but then you see guys like Bivol and, you know, Crawford and these guys beat him because of that movement. And I don't know what he does again. I mean, you know, the biggest money fight out there for him is the rematch with Crawford.
More than anything, there was nothing in that first fight that hinted at a different outcome the next time around. The physical edge didn't change the dynamic. The punching power never shifted the momentum. Even the experience advantage failed to make a difference. Across the board, Crawford was just operating on a higher level.
You know what? Sometimes you try and your body cannot go, right? That's my frustration. Maybe I can figure out Crawford, but my body cannot go anymore. So I try it, but my body just not let me go.
That's why the people financing these events are stuck on one basic question. If the opening fight failed to deliver fireworks, and the rematch looks like it could follow the same script, what justifies putting $100 million on the line? It's an even tougher sell when you factor in Crawford's age. At 38, he's not exactly known for reckless wars or highlight reel slugfests. From a business standpoint, that price tag isn't just high, it's intimidating.
It's wild, because like if you look at Floyd's resume, it's much deeper than Crawford's. And Floyd was faster and he had a better defense and all that stuff. But Floyd picked and chose when he fought guys, especially once he left lightweight. He wiped out the junior lights, bring him. Lightweight, he jumps up to Jose Luis Castillo first thing. A lot of people think he lost the first fight, then I didn't, but then he won the rematch. But once he left lightweight, he was careful about when he fought guys. So even though his resume is deeper with names, people remember, yeah, but he didn't want it with certain dudes at certain times. Crawford, we all witnessed, even though the resume is thin in certain ways, he wanted it with everyone the whole time. Yes. That makes a difference to people.
This is where the story gets compelling. Canelo's reputation has always been built on being boxing's standard bearer. The fighter who steps into every major challenge. The one who dominates big bouts and rules entire divisions. Crawford shattered that image. The defeat didn't just mark a loss on his record. It shook the very identity he's cultivated. For the first time in years, Canelo didn't look untouchable. He looked human. He looked slower. He looked, simply, beatable.
He needs to make a change, I think. I would love to see the rematch. I think in the rematch, if he comes back with the hunger that he needs, he could beat Crawford. Because Crawford, you know, is very talented, but I think Canelo could beat him. Canelo's strong, man. Canelo's strong. Canelo could take a good punch. So I think he could just go and don't respect his punch and throw punches even though you're gonna get hit. But don't give up. Keep going until you hit him.
According to insiders, Canelo has made it clear to his team that he can't accept leaving the sport with Crawford's name as the final chapter on his record. He's driven by more than pride. He wants redemption. He wants his titles back. And he wants to prove to the world that he can still beat the very best. The hunger is genuine.
I beat this guy. It's his excuse. I beat this guy. You know, he's too young or whatever. So I'm never really going to give my full respect until afterwards. Yes, you know, it's a lot of people that's changing their narrative. Like, man, y'all watching something great right now, and we not appreciating it. And it's sad to say that we waking up at the tail end of his career. You know, we really didn't realize it until now, when he's like doing extraordinary stuff, like going up 2 weight classes to fight the best fighter in that division, the #1 guy that's the face of boxing, you know. And the way that I handled that, people like, oh man, something had to be wrong. Canelo had to be washed, or Canelo just wasn't in it. I see people saying, oh, Turkey paid for Canelo to lose, you know. So I just think, you know, when you that much better than the competition, you know, people not going to give you credit until they sit down and look at it and just be like, man, that dude was good.
The real question is whether it's worth dropping $100 million. Crawford isn't the hungry underdog he once was. He's collected every belt, every accolade, every historic milestone. There's nothing left for him to prove, and he isn't limited to just this fight. Other options are on the table: Jamel Charlo, David Benavidez, middleweight champions, or even walking away from boxing altogether.
Would you consider going back down to 154 and face Jaranen as the guy who prepared Canelo Alvarez for this fight?
Nope. I ain't going down 154.
Crawford could step away from the sport tomorrow and never look back. But a rematch with Canelo represents more than just another fight. It could be the final payday of his career, and by far the biggest one he's ever earned.
I think Crawford took it way more serious than Canelo, which is kind of weird because, you know, the amount of money that Canelo was making. And I know all these people say, oh, yeah, you know, talking shit about Canelo. I'm not talking shit about him. He just didn't look like he really prepared 100%. He's throwing 10 punches around, or I think it was his ego is that big that he thought that, oh, I'm just going to walk through him, catch him with a good shot, and it's going to be done. As you can see, Crawford is a different type of fighter. Not only does he have the boxing IQ, he has that dog in him. He was in there, he was brawling with Canelo like in the 8th, 9th, getting the best out of him. Boxing, he's epitome of a great boxer. There's a lot of lessons to be learned in that fight, you know what I mean? If you really want to make something come true and you really believe it, you can make it come true. And then the other lesson is, don't let your ego get the best out of you, and don't think that you don't have to prepare because you're a bigger fighter, you know what I mean? That shit will bite you in the ass.
Canelo, this is about legacy. For Crawford, it's about business. And whenever legacy clashes with a massive payday, the negotiations are bound to get complicated. But here's the unspoken truth. The public isn't clamoring for a rematch. Crawford won too decisively the first time. There was no controversy, no dramatic knockdowns, no sudden explosions, just a clean, technical masterclass. Casual fans found it underwhelming, while hardcore fans admired the skill but admitted lacked that electric excitement.
First of all, congratulations to Crawford. That was beautiful. You know, that was a beautiful performance. But leading into the fight, I just thought the weight difference. Canelo's been active, he was inactive. I knew it would be close, but I thought Canelo would just be a little bit stronger, and you will see the difference in the punches. Just like I thought he would back him up a little bit, but Crawford did a good job with just using that jab, putting his punches together and using his angles. I think that was the most important. I think that's what he did the best. I feel like, easy to say, but I feel like if Canelo would have used his jab a little bit, it would have made it. It would have been. I think he would have did way better. I feel like he was just loading up too much. I feel like if he just used his jab a little bit more and just try to put his punches together without power, he's a natural puncher, he would have did a lot better. But he was loading up, so Crawford was just blocking it and coming back with 3 soft touches. It looked like he wasn't even putting on behind it. He was just touching him the whole fight, and he just boxed him. It was just a beautiful performance.
To justify a 9-figure payday, promoters need global demand, and right now, that demand is anything but guaranteed. The first fight didn't generate the hype many expected, and there's no certainty the rematch will spark more interest. Dropping $100 million on a second fight is a tough pill to swallow, which makes Crawford's price even more striking. But there's method to his approach. By setting the number at $100 million, Crawford is effectively saying, if you want me to risk my belt at 38 against a younger, hungrier fighter seeking revenge, you're going to have to pay more than anyone ever has. This isn't greed, it's strategy. And in boxing, strategy matters as much as skill. That if Turkey agrees and the fight goes ahead, it could send shockwaves through the sport. It would show that elite fighters still dictate terms, that legacy bouts still carry enormous value, and that stars can demand blockbuster paydays. Boxing would officially be entering a new financial era. But if the deal falls through, the message is different. Promoters won't overpay for methodical, technical fights. Legacy rematches might give way to younger, more exciting talent. Performance-based paydays would take priority over name recognition. Either way, the landscape of the sport shifts. Canelo has already made his intentions clear. He doesn't like losing. He doesn't like being outclassed. And he certainly doesn't like how the world saw him in that first fight. Add to that his 4-fight deal with Turkey, and this rematch aligns perfectly with the type of blockbuster events that networks are eager to showcase.
Canelo Alvarez wants Terence Crawford rematch. I expect nothing less from Canelo. He wants to get that fight back because, well, number one, it's a somewhat advantageous matchup at 168 for him, and there's not many other matchups at 168 for Canelo right now that offer him any sort of advantages. We'll look at the first fight, and the things that plagued Canelo were essentially the things that plague him against most boxers. His flat feet, his lack of movement, his lack of volume. He couldn't get to Terence. He was overextending. He was getting caught with counter shots as he overextended. So what would be different if they fought again? The only thing that I could see that Canelo may be able to do some different things with, you would have to fight Terence Crawford like he fought Sergey Kovalev at 175. That's genuinely what he would have to do. He'd have to be lighter on his feet. He'd have to throw more combinations, and he'd have to be quicker with his hands.
Canelo has to confront a tough truth. Crawford is older, sharper, and more calculated than he may have anticipated. Meanwhile, Canelo himself hasn't looked like his peak self in years. Another loss wouldn't just be another mark on the record. It could seriously damage his legacy.
Crawford did his thing. He looked good. He looked good. He looked strong. He carried the weight well. I mean, he looked good. Can't say nothing bad about it.
Were you a little bit shocked about, how he beat him? Were you a little bit shocked how he beat him? Even because he went up 3 weight classes. Were you just surprised?
Nah, I wasn't shocked. Canelo's not a big guy anyway. Canelo got it that started at 47 and came up to 168. So, I feel like Crawford, he walks around probably 169, 170-ish, shit, whatever. So I feel like it was kind of easy for him to make the weight, and he looked good. He handled it well.
After that fight, there was a lot of talk about Crawford's place in boxing history. You think now, after that win, considered a goal or all-time great?
He is one of the greats, sure.
Sources now say Crawford has made his final call. He will only accept a rematch if the contract guarantees $100 million, no negotiations, no backup plans, no compromises. His team's message is clear. Pay him what he's worth, or don't bother. Believe it or not, insiders report that Turkey is actually weighing the offer. At this moment, the decision rests entirely with him. Canelo wants the fight. Crawford wants it, at a price. The boxing world is divided. One thing is certain. The rematch will only happen if Crawford's demand is met. And if Turkey signs that check, this could become the most expensive, high-stakes fight in boxing history. So, what do you think? Is Crawford worth $100 million? Should Turkey greenlight the rematch? Will Canelo claim redemption, or risk an even worse outcome this time? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Make sure to like this video, and subscribe to Fight Field for more. Catch you in the next one.